for this one.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, Bob Chick back with another edition of the Voice of Bodybuilding, and who better to have on the program but the fit rock star herself, IFBB superstar Isabelle Terrell. Welcome, Isabelle.
Thank you for having me, Bob. Great to be here.
Hey, and not to be outdone, but of course, the Hall of Famer himself, winner of the 1985 Teenage National Championships over yours truly, Sugar Shawn Ray in the house.
Yes, welcome to my show, Bob. Hi, Izzy.
All right.
Hi, Shawn.
Well, you know, the beautiful thing, people, is that the Voice of Bodybuilding is for everybody. So,
Yes.
but we all three of us have one thing in common, and probably only one thing in common, but that is we were all at the Legion Fest that was this past weekend.
Yes, we were. What a long weekend it was. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 3 days.
Yeah, listen, big 3-day event, big props to Chris Menace and his better half, Bojana Vasiljevic. They put on a fantastic expo and show. And yeah, it's long. It's 3 full days. He had Masters, he had NPC, and he had the pros, of course. We'll get into that in just a moment. But Isabelle, what did you think when you've been there a few times, but a little bit bigger, a little bit better this year?
Oh, look, Chris always goes out with a bang in every Legion Fest every year. So, yes, incredible. The athletes were amazing. And, yeah, I loved it completely. Yeah, he did a great job with the show. I really liked the pilot outfit and the stewardess
Right.
in there. That was fun.
Well, that was unique in that, you know, Chris is very innovative as it is. There's a whole superhero theme. For those who haven't seen it, you can look it up, Legion Fest, Center Podium Productions. But what he was doing there was, I didn't even know this, but they kept getting a message to me at the end of the NPC version that night, Saturday night, that there was an overall. And I was like, well, of course there's an overall. Like, why is that news to me, right? I mean, we've done 1,000 of these things. And they're like, no, there's like an overall after the overall. And I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? So, well, what it was in Europe, especially some years ago, what they would do is they would have all the winners from the divisions, all right? So bikini, men's bodybuilding, fitness, whatever, right? Pick a division. They would all come on stage. And there would be an overall voted on, believe it or not, an overall. Now,
Right.
how they figure this stuff out is beyond me. It's not. Now, this is not a IFBB thing, so this wasn't voted on like by the judges. Okay, somebody else kind of picks it, whether it's Chris or his people, and he was giving him a free flight to some show in Kazakhstan that he's doing. You know, all expenses paid. That's where the flight thing came out with the stewardesses and all that. What do you think of that, Shawn?
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of cool because, listen, if he's going to pay the expenses and they're going to travel all the way to Kazakhstan, I mean, you got to know that there are differences in who's the best athlete. I mean, you have the best fitness girl, you have the best physique guy,
Right.
you have the best bikini, but which one is going to do the most damage over in Kazakhstan to kind of represent? I look at it like USA versus Russia.
Sure.
So out of those 5 or 6 divisions, picking one that's best going to be reflective of the opportunity to win, I think that's pretty cool, especially since he's eating the expense. I'm imagining that he's got a say in who wins that, though, right? Like,
Yeah, I think they just pick it. Yeah, they can't. It's not like a judgeable thing by our judges. It's not really part of the NPC format. So yes, you're correct.
No, I think it's cool.
Men's physique guy, wasn't it, that one?
Yeah, I tell you, the kid was good, and he's going to represent well in the show in Kazakhstan. Interesting note to you guys. So remember a couple of years ago when we split, okay, from the European group, Raphael, and all that stuff. I was getting inundated. We put a memo out. If you believe you should have gotten your pro card over the last couple of years, let me know.
Yeah.
You know, because there was people that were winning pro qualifying events but not getting their pro card. All right. Sure. Well, of course, I get 100 emails. Right? People, hey, I won the whatever back in '92. You know, I'm like, yeah, look, that's not going to fly. But I kept getting these emails from people. Like this one girl emails me and she says, well, I won bikini and I want to see if I can get my pro card. So I mail her back and I says, did you win the overall? And she's like, well, no, but I won the bikini division.
Right.
And I'm like, what the, so there was a disconnect there, right? We couldn't get on the same page. And it never dawned on me until we went 3-4 deep. Finally, I says, well, who won the overall? And she says, like, the men's bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's why they weren't turning. That's why they weren't turning people pro over there. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Isabelle, how about this? You win your bikini division, or you win the women's physique, or you win whatever, right? Fitness, and you get beaten this overall, right, from the men's bodybuilder, the men's board shorts, physique guy, right? That's the only pro card they give.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's it.
I wouldn't be too thrilled about that.
Something had to give. I'm glad the IFBB Pro League stepped in.
Yeah, well, this was huge, of course, and we did grant pro cards to dozens of people. I mean, and we tried to keep it relevant because we did have people. Again, 20 years ago, they won something. Hey, can I get my pro card? It's like, we had to draw the line.
They were running that scam for many years before they finally figured it out.
Well, we got to figure it out, and it was 4 simple words, Shawn, that we coined. You win, you're in.
That's it.
You know what
real simple to figure out.
You know what else I loved about the show too is the red carpet that they had at the end there with all the superstars and stuff. Whitney,
very cool
interviews. Of course, her and Danny Hester doing the live stream. You know, it was a really good show though, and I give props to Chris because he really does go above and beyond every year. It was cool to see the Giant Killer right in the middle of the thing, the Legion Fest, because obviously he killed the Giants last year of his big win. But
yeah, Shawn clearly was there in full force. Actually, we took some pictures with him as we were there. Like you said, Danny Hester and Whitney Jones, 2 Olympians. They were calling the shots on the pay-per-view. So it was a star-studded event. You know, I have to, not to be, bring up old stuff, but, you talk about how fast stuff changes. Just last year at that same show, we had Cedric there competing, and Shawn Rhoden was kicking around at the booths, if you remember.
Yeah. Yeah, and Cedric pulled out of the show after prejudging. He was already feeling under the weather, and who knew that the time would catch up with him. But the irony of it is Shawn actually came back this year to announce that he's going to be a father December the 26th, somewhere around your birthday, Bob.
Wow. So, look at that. Could be a Christmas baby, and the week after it could be Olympia weekend that they give birth. I mean.
Yeah, and the other breaking news was he said he's not actually going to announce whether he's going 212 or open until the next 2 weeks. So there's news coming out of his camp. Yeah, he's entertaining the idea.
Wow. See, now that's news to me. I just thought it was a foregone conclusion, especially with Lunsford going to the Open, that this guy's going back to get his hardware back.
So I talked to him. So, okay, he's won that contest. Really, he's got nothing else to prove. It'd be nice to regain it, but the guy he wanted to beat has moved up to the Open. So he's figuring, listen, I beat Derek Lunsford before, and if these guys are talking about him like he's a top 5 guy, I got a baby on the way. I might as well go and try to compete for the top 5 prize money. So he does have a decision to make. It'll be great to have a second title, but comparatively speaking, the 5th place in the Olympia pays more than winning the 212, which he's already done. So he's got some figuring it out to do with his wife and her girlfriend or whoever it is to see what he wants to do next.
All right. Manager Isabelle, what are your advices? Which way should he go?
Well, Shawn is the kind of guy that he goes for what he wants. So I'm going to say go for the Open. Why not? Do it.
Shawn, I think you would agree with that.
I mean, me personally, I would have always said I'm going Open since he not only got there by qualifying by winning the show a year ago, he's also already won the 212, so there's really nothing left to prove beating guys that you already have beaten before. The number one challenge is, can I be the top 5 physique on the planet? Is there an argument for me? And as far as I'm concerned, Shawn has an argument. If we're talking about Derek Lunsford the way we are, Shawn's got to be in that conversation somewhere too because he's beaten him. And he wears his muscle a little bit differently than some of the other guys. So I don't think he'd be that out of place. Yeah, he might look shorter, but when they come up there individually, and when it comes down to body part for body part, Clarita can hold his best with the best of them. However, Christmas comes early. He goes back. He recaptures his 212. He's king of the hill. He's got to go home for a Christmas and a new baby and a new year. My advice is, Bob, go get the 212 title once again to just put that to bed and come back to the Arnold Classic in March and throw your hat into the arena in the Open category. Now, mind you, he does that. He's going to bypass several of these Olympians that won't go to Columbus, Ohio, leaving the door even that much further for him to slide into there in that top 5 of an Open show, potentially win it.
Isabelle, if you're Kamel Elgarni, are you sending gift packets to Derek and Shawn to go into the Open?
Absolutely. Let me ask you guys a question. If Derek Lunsford had competed in this show in his off season, could he have won?
I believe that he would have.
Legion?
Well, if we're looking at Derek in March or in May, which is the last time we saw him, you got to imagine he's considerably better than he was in May.
Sure.
And that glimpse he gave us in May was impressive, but he was only more impressive by the company he was in, and they were all off season. Fast forward till now, I think he's probably considerably more impressive. And structurally overall, the guy that won, Tonio, I remembered his name, Tonio. He's about my height, which means he's about Derek's height. But Derek wears that muscle a lot bigger, a lot more fuller in areas that Tonio would have to make up. Tonio has kind of a long torso, came in really good condition, but overall, I think Derek would make easy money over Tonio in that show.
Well, I got to say, now this is why, amongst many reasons, we've covered this, Shawn, the last time we were on together. This is why I wasn't not in favor of the special invite for Derek. If he did not receive that special invite, we would have seen Derek on this stage this past weekend at the Legion.
And
that would have been a hell of a competition between him, Tonio, Justin, the rest of the competitors that we'll cover in just a moment. Now, listen, while there's no guarantees, it would have been really nice, especially for Chris Minnis, to have had Derek on stage. Your thoughts?
No, he should have been on that stage. I don't think it would have been much of a contest because Derek, to me, he's head and shoulders above these guys. But it would have been a nice preview of things to come because we still have how many more weeks before we get to the Olympia, and that would have been a nice tune-up for him. I don't know why they're holding back. Like, I mean, if I was, I don't know, I think Hani trains him, I would have thrown him out there irrespective of the Olympia because this would have been a nice feather in his cap, would have been a nice victory, some good momentum, would have been a nice gauge of what he's up against because if you're going to go in the deep end at the Olympia, these guys should be easy money. Like this would have been a great warm-up, confidence builder, another second glimpse throughout this year to go, yeah, okay, now I see why he's getting the special invite because I think he's head and shoulders above these guys.
Yeah, and Isabelle, I can't help but wonder. I mean, listen, Derek is a great kid for all of us that know him. He's got a great disposition about him. I think he's a great competitor. But I can't help but wonder if the moment is going to be too big for him to literally throw himself up against the big boys at the Olympia. It might have softened the blow a little bit if he goes, let's say, on stage this past weekend, gets a victory against the open men, right, en route to, stepping on stage at the Olympia. Could it be that the moment's a little bit too big for him, or does he just charge in head first?
Charge in head first. Absolutely. Look, I've known Derek a long time, and I know he's very hungry for this. And honestly, I feel that I would have loved to have seen him compete at the Legion because he would have kicked ass no matter what. No offense to Tonio, who's very good. But I think Derek going into the Open, into the Mr. Olympia, I think, listen, I'm just going to say it. Him and Samson, well, there's a lot of people, but is my dark horse because Derek, again, he's a really good physique. And like you said, Bob, he does have the best back by far out of all those guys. Anybody in those divisions, actually.
Yeah,
how much does the mental come into play, Shawn?
No, he's ready for the moment. I think he's going to be his own worst enemy if he tries to pack on 20 pounds. We've never seen somebody put on 20 pounds and go, oh, he's improved. We've seen them bigger, but on that stage, we've seen them washed out. We've seen them smooth. Every bodybuilder getting ready for the Olympia thinks they've got to be at their biggest, and they just take themselves out of the running. Listen, no one had more potential than the late Cedric McMillan coming to the Olympia. Even Lee Haney went out on a limb and said, this is the next Mr. Olympia. And how many years was he there? And it was a promise that was unkept. I believe he's got one top 6 finish. And we expected him to be in the top 6 every year, pretty much, with that structure. But the occasion rose a little bit more often for him on the road against lesser competitors and one time at the Arnold Classic. I think Derek, if he doesn't try to pack on too much weight, and we see him maybe 5 or 10 pounds heavier, 220, 222, under 225, I think. It's going to be a significant increase of size, 3-dimensional size, but he's got to bring the condition or he's screwed because, again, Shawn Clarita beat Derek on conditioning when he did beat Derek. Now, if Derek tries to blow up, and we've seen these guys blow up, and it looks nice and full and round until they stand next to somebody that comes in shape. And the guys that come, Barry DeMay comes to mind in 1988 because he was 3rd place in that competition. But it was because we saw things on his body that we'd never seen on him before and no one else had. He had the lower back Christmas tree. He had the nice abs, but he was his leanest. I think Barry DeMay at 6'1" was maybe 228. I mean, Derek's 5'6" on a good day. He cannot come in there thinking I got to be 250-ish or 245. It just doesn't translate in the course of 1 year.
Well, Isabelle, one of the things that did take place over the weekend, before we get into the breakdown of the Legion, was some news came out that Michael Krizo has gotten his pro card. So he did achieve pro status. Now we wait for his return to the stage somewhere in the next month or so to see if he can actually get to the Olympia. But I got to be honest. I saw the pictures. I saw some video, and I was a little bit underwhelmed.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. Actually, he was a big talk of the weekend, as you know. A lot of superstars not very impressed with what they saw of Mike Krizo. I was actually not impressed. I mean, listen, he's a big guy, but he just wasn't in shape. And, I don't know what we're going to expect out of him out of Prague. Hopefully there is no heavies there. Speaking of that, I wanted to ask you guys, which is the obvious question. This was the last Olympia qualifier to U.S. How come we haven't seen any guys who still need to be qualified in this show?
Well, a lot of those guys, just the reality check is they're not trying to go to the Olympia because they probably don't fit in. Krizo, on the other hand, this was not the Olympia for him. It was a pro qualifier. It wasn't a pro show. He didn't have to be at his best. Him being off was enough to win. But he's still got a nice span of time where he can fix the things that need to be fixed by the time he gets to Olympia. Not for nothing, but that lighting sucked at that show. I've seen better lighting at a local competition, okay? So
right.
The lighting sucks, so it doesn't translate when we're looking at the phones and at our computers. But there was no one there with the shape, structure, or size, so he wins by default. And he gets the easy victory. Now he goes to the next level. I know there's a pro qualifier coming up somewhere over there in Europe. I don't think the depth of field is going to be like what we've already seen this year. So he's going to qualify. I think he's going to win a pro show. And I think he winds up at the Olympia, and he'll look significantly different than he did this past weekend. And he has the size. So it's really just a conditioning thing. I wouldn't have peaked to get my pro card against nobodies. He didn't have to peak, so it might be strategic.
Do you guys feel that he will be in the top 10 if he does qualify for the Olympia?
You know what? I'm not convinced. And a question to you, Shawn. I see a lot of similarity. Now, listen, we're way ahead of the game. We haven't seen him against any pros of any significance yet. He hasn't even qualified for the Olympia. But listen, we're going to look ahead with this, right? My question, Shawn, to you is it's very similar, very reminiscent to me of Alexander Fedorov.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen him, and I know who's on paper for the Olympia, and I think he can make the top 10. I honestly believe. I mean, if I look at a guy like Ian Valieri, who was, I think, 7th, I've got to look at this guy. I got to look at this guy and go, he's right in that company. So I think they can flip flop. I think that if Ian's 7th, this guy's got to be right next to him. So, and I think he knows he's got to be in better condition. And I believe he's going back and forth to Vegas, if not already in Vegas. And he's going to be doing the things necessary to dry up. He knows it's not a matter of, I need to build up my quads. I got to bring out my back. This is a conditioning thing, which to me, I think a guy that big is a lot easier to achieve than to bring up your hamstrings or to thicken up your back or to build up your arms. He's got the roundness and all the muscle that he needs. And like Ronnie Coleman in 97, who just needed to dry out, he figured it out in 98 and he leapfrogged over a bunch of Hall of Famers and there he was. This guy dries out, he's in the hunt. I mean, he's up there.
Yeah, Isabelle, this guy is not small. For people that want to know, he's close to 6'2".
Yeah.
All right, which is absolutely huge for his bodybuilding standards. That's as big as Andrew Jack is out there and taller than Rami. Now, that one could translate very well. We got the return of some big boys coming in the 3 Nigerian night trains that are coming, to the Olympia. And then you got that guy. And I'm with you, Shawn. He could very easily fit right in that mix. Isabelle, if he goes in the Olympia, does he make an instant impact?
Krizo?
Yeah.
If he's in shape and on the money, absolutely he will be making a huge impact. I want to see him up against Andrew Jack. That's my thing. That's the one I'm waiting on.
Well, he was beaten by his fellow Nigerian buddy, Blessing, a couple of years ago. Apparently, these two squared off in a competition. And now this is a few years ago, but still. And Blessing beat him. And now these two are kind of going back and forth, having some fun online, kind of talking some smack against each other.
You got to remember about a couple of years ago, because when I was up there, and that's all I have to refer to, in 92 to 97, I had bragging rights that I was crushing Ronnie Coleman. It wasn't even close.
True.
And then in the span of a year, Ronnie came of age. Remember, Andrew Jackson only competed in 3 pro shows. I mean, he turned pro this year at the Arnold Classic in March. He won the Texas Pro in August, and he just won in September. I mean, this will be his 4th show in his life, and it's the Mr. Olympia.
That's insane.
So he's doing something right.
Absolutely. Well, let's not forget Samson Dauda either, because this guy, he's a wild card.
Mm-hmm. He's got all the muscle.
I still think he's still my pick for the dark horse. If Samson puts it together, he's got a prettier physique than a lot of the names we've already mentioned. And we'll get into Olympia breakdowns as we go because I want to make sure we've got time to cover what we got to cover. But lots of stuff going on in the bodybuilding world. But all eyes were on Reno, Nevada this past week as there was just a few more Olympia cards to be given out. And Tonio Burton comes out on top. The second he walked out, Shawn,
It was done.
To me, it was a clear winner. It was over. Once we've seen everybody kind of come out, present themselves, Justin Rodriguez was certainly going to win this show on paper. But that didn't quite translate into its stage, did it?
Yeah, and again, a year ago, he was a 212 athlete. So he's showing that these guys can move up. A lot of the 212 guys are fearful of that. And we watched James Flex Lewis really not even make the attempt. I think he did it once in Korea when he beat another basically 212 guy in the open. But I think it's encouraging to see these guys move up into the open category because they can compete. If you can win the 212, you can be competitive in the open. So to see that, I hope we see a little bit more of it instead of putting yourself in this little box. But he was by far the most improved and the best conditioning. Is he perfect? He's got a lot of things he's got to work on. The chest isn't all that. It's a little bit, I don't know, it's kind of separated a little bit too far. That's a genetic thing I don't think he can work on. He's got a longer torso, kind of like Dexter Jackson, which only won him a Mr. Olympia in 9 Arnold Classics.
Yeah, right.
But there's some things you can get away with if you're in shape. And this year's Mr. Olympia is going to be the $1 million question when we start talking about these guys is, are they in shape? Because they all have enough muscle. This kid has enough muscle. I don't know that he has enough size, height-wise and width-wise to stand with the veterans. But by going to the Olympia, he's going to gain a lot of experience. And I think if this was another pro show, another open pro show, that kid could win a couple of titles in 2023. I don't know that he's ready for the Olympia, though.
So,
Isabelle, did Tonio Burton win the show or did Justin Rodriguez lose the show?
Tonio Burton won the show because this is not, listen, what Justin brought at the Arnold, he was like, wow. As soon as he walked out, you're like, holy look at Justin. And then he started obviously fading away. And then after that, we had the expectation, he just, every show that he did, he just wasn't on point, I think, in my opinion. So my question to you guys is, if Justin is 100% at this show, does he win? My opinion, I still have Tonio as the winner.
I'm with you.
Yeah, no, I think he absolutely would. As a matter of fact, me and Shawn were talking about this after. I actually had Rashid Oldacre in second place over Justin.
Amazing.
Yeah, lots of muscle. Not a lot of confidence, Bob. I think he was losing a little bit of his confidence out there. And the posing, obviously, it was reminiscent of my 91 routine because it was Phil Collins. I was watching what he was trying to do with the music, and he was kind of out of sync. The music was playing over here. He was posing over there.
Yeah,
a lot of repetitive
I can only
poses.
assume, since I don't have every one of your routines in my database, I can only assume you actually hit the drum solo. Please.
As the music went down in my head, I was in it. I was in it to win it.
So, for those who weren't there, so Rashid comes out to Phil Collins, right? Classic song. He actually stops before the drum solo.
And we've seen that a lot at these shows. These athletes just stop right in the middle. Like,
it's the only point.
But let me tell you,
this
is the disconnect because that wasn't a routine. It was play the music and I'm going to go hit some poses. If you go back and watch him, in his routine, he hits about 3 or 4 of the same poses 3 or 4 times because it was just a matter of filling time on the stage. I come from a place where the stage is the only chance you have to leave a lasting impression. At the time I was there, no one knew about YouTube. I didn't even know about video or even archives. But here we are 20 years later. Thank God for YouTube because we can go back and reference what once was. And the athletes that did take the time to do those routines are inspiring people today. This was a very forgettable routine. I think the judges were also aware that it was very forgettable. A lot of most musculars because it's got a lot of muscle. But you gotta have your stuff together when it comes down to the finals. When it's close, it could have catapulted him over Justin.
Well, while his routine was forgettable, his physique was very much on display. Isabelle, I know you were impressed by what Rashid brought to the table.
Yeah. So the most impressive person out of the whole Legion Fest, to be honest with you guys, is this guy Rashid, because I saw him at the Orlando Pro. And, he walks out, you're like, holy smokes, look at this guy. He's got all this muscle. He's just massive. Somebody made a reference to Ronnie Coleman-esque type, which, we can't compare. That's totally night and day. But yeah, to me, he looks so awesome. And I agree with you, Bob. I'm a big J-Rod fan. I love Justin Rodriguez, veteran of the sport. But I would have liked to have seen, Rashid up there. I thought he was going to be in second, in the prejudging, I think they had Justin up above Tonio at one point. But Rashid was amazing.
Well, I can tell you, it speaks to his humbleness because I think he just doesn't know how good he is. He has to carry himself with a little more confidence. Justin being a veteran, he felt like this is his show to lose. But I think Rashid was just kind of happy to be there, and he's got to come out a little more aggressive.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you that. What does Justin do from here, Shawn? I mean, this was kind of an interesting year for him. He came out at the Arnold, like Isabelle said, and he was smoking. I mean, this kid was on. His skin was thin. He was in shape. And he represented. And then he seemed to kind of have a little falter as he went through the season. The next couple of shows, not so great. And then it seemed like he did the right thing. He took some time off. We didn't see him the rest of the year until the last qualifier of the season, but he just fell short. Where does he go from here, Shawn?
I shut it down, get a ticket, watch the Mr. Olympia, get re-inspired, and maybe put New York on the calendar. Give himself a nice little long time to lay off, go through the holidays, go back and watch the Arnold Classic to see what happens on the stage. Use that experience to head into New York and try to get a win back there.
Well,
Isabelle,
Justin.
hang on a second. I got to ask you because you'll probably have the answer to this, but I didn't do my homework, of course. But I think Justin is on top of the points board.
He is, yeah.
Hey, Justin's the top guy now for points.
But listen. This is where I disagree with the points. You can't win to get there. So having all these points, how much more money are you going to pour into your preparation? How much more time are you going to take away from your family? How much sacrifice are you going to make so you can be a pace car on the racetrack? There's nothing in Las Vegas waiting for Justin to try to prove. There's nothing to really do there. There's no financial reward. There's really no promotional reward unless he's going to be doing some photo shoots and making a training video and enjoying the holidays in Vegas. If I'm him, I'm going to Vegas to see measure everybody up, be fat and happy, and be a student. But to get on that stage, to stay on that diet, to be a pace car on the racetrack, I don't advise it for Justin.
Yep.
Not with Crizzo and Jack and all these guys. It's too deep. The line is too deep.
So even though he will technically qualify by points, Isabelle, you agree that it would be probably not a great idea to actually take it up and go.
Well, it depends on what him and his coach, who he was working with, George Farah, decides. I agree with Shawn. Listen, if I'm going to the Olympia stage, I want to be at my very best. I don't want to be half-ass, and play slower. You know what I mean? We want to keep in mind, like we were talking about the Arnold. What was he, second, third at the Arnold, something like that? Third?
He was up there. Yeah, he was he was in the mix. I know that.
You want to bring a package that everybody's like, holy shit, look at Justin, I don't get a bad.
Yeah.
So
to your point, Shawn, I don't remember. Maybe somebody can correct us on this, but I don't remember anybody ever qualifying on points that ever did anything at the Olympia.
No, it's never. Which is why I don't like the point system for the Olympia. We have enough bodies on the stage, anyways. So why give this sense of false security? You could not win to get there, and you're going to stay on. You're going to stay on the grind for how many weeks out are we?
We're 8 weeks, 9 weeks, I think.
That's an eternity.
4 days out.
Yeah, that's how long it takes for me to get ready for a show. He just did one. Right. You want to stay on that prep? You want to stay on that prep to go and watch everybody else do what you're dreaming of doing? I would go as a student. I would go to watch and learn and to realize I missed an opportunity this year. Not kind of looking at it like, hey, I have the points and I deserve to be there. Yeah, you can go. But, how much do you want to sacrifice of your life to go there and be a sideshow and then oil up and hit one pose at the finals?
As of right now, we have 28 guys qualified for the Olympia, that's including the top 3.
Wow. Yeah, that's getting a little crazy. And we've all talked about this extensively on and off the air. I don't like the point system. I'd like to see it go away. I have suggested a different system. Hopefully the Pro League will look at that this year. Right now, I would take the opportunity because the Olympia is in December. All right? So we basically wiped the slate clean. There's nobody right now qualified for next year. Like we always end up with that scenario. It's like, okay, great. Right now, me personally, get rid of the points. Go with you win, you're in.
You win, you're in.
I would go to a runner-up if somebody's already qualified.
Okay.
All right. I'm not against more people qualifying for the Olympia. I'm against more people making it to the second round.
Right.
100%. Yeah. And I'm against the special invite if there's nothing special about it.
Right.
Well, the word special is everything there, right? If it's special circumstances, which is the way it was originally designed, I don't have any issue with that either. But I do think we really need to kind of look and overhaul the system. Again, get rid of these points. And again, anybody that knows what I put forward over the years knows I am all for increasing the amount of people at the O. But every sport has quarterfinals, semifinals, right? You have to get you have to kind of keep whittling it down until you get to the best of the best. So I don't think it takes away. I don't think it takes away from the prestige. I think it enhances it. That you got to make, let's say, the top 10 to get on stage.
Well, that's the reason why American Idol was so successful on television.
Can I say something I would like to see with the the contest? Say, like, you always talk about Ashley Cutwasher, being qualified already.
Sure.
Right.
So what if a competitor goes into a show they're already qualified? Can we please have a bump system where it goes down to the next person in line?
I agree. I'd like to see that. I've been asking for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've asked for it too. I've actually submitted that on behalf of the athletes many, many times. So, and it's all part of the system. So again, that's something the Pro League will look at.
Sure.
I don't like giving up. If a guy's already qualified or a girl's already qualified, again, get qualified one person each show.
Right.
That's really the bottom line, right? Whether it's the winner or the winner is already qualified, go to number 2.
Well, for
now,
me,
I would never go past 3.
Yeah,
I would never go past third place for obvious reasons, but that's it.
For me, if I were a bikini girl, that's if Bob, and I saw Ashley's name on a piece of paper, I'm not going.
Right.
Because the odds are she's probably going to win. She's the winningest athlete that we've had in the history of the game. So I don't want Ashley to be discouraged from competing. I want her to compete in everything. But since she's already qualified by way of winning the Olympia 3 times, bumping down to the next one would encourage me to jump in that show. But if I get the list and I see she's on it, it's not that I'm not confident that I can't beat her. I'm not confident that the universe will align properly on that day after all that prep, and I'm going in with one arm tied behind my back because this woman is one of the best in the world that ever did it. And if I want to beat her, I want to beat her on the Olympia. So I'm going to go qualify at a different show.
I agree.
That's my philosophy.
I think there's go ahead.
Somebody else who was really impressive into the Legion was Stanimal. You guys talked about jumping into different divisions and whatnot, and you're raising your bar, seeing where you fit. Wasn't the guy, he started out in men's physique, and then he went class?
Stanimal was impressive. He's put on some muscle over the years, and yes, he has jumped up in divisions. He came out. Interestingly, he was not in the first call out, which I thought was strange. They only called out 4, the other one being Jamie the Giant. We'll get to him in a second. But I thought he should have been in that first call out in comparison. As it turns out, he was the first one in the second call out. And then he seemed to impress the judges enough that when they came back around, he was put up there with those top 4 guys. And he earned himself a spot in 4th place. But Stanimal was pretty good, man. He put it together, had a nice physique.
Well, behind Tonio, he's the most improved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think he did the show last year and he came in 7th. So now he got 4th place. So, he's pretty.
He looked like a totally different athlete. Of course, Tonio put on 13 pounds, I guess he said, and so he's obviously the best improved. But Stanimal was very impressive. I actually texted him that on his IG to let him know we were watching. I mean, it didn't go unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think you're right, Shawn. He was probably the most conditioned guy right there with Tonio. So still a work in progress. You can see he's got some things to work on, but I tell you, it's all there. And I think this guy can be a good competitor in the years to come. But Jamie the Giant stood head and shoulders above everybody else, Shawn.
Yeah, he's heard that a time or two before. I think he was a little bit more impressive in the Arnold Classic UK lineup than he was here. I think he flattened out a little bit. The detail wasn't popping. Of course, he's got the issues of every tall man, including Rolf Mueller from back in '88 Olympia, the tallest to ever compete in the Olympia at 6'8", and 300 pounds, and he was dead last. And it wasn't because he wasn't very good. It's because those long limbs need a lot of size, and Jamie's going to have a hard time trying to fill out that frame. I don't think he ever will because of the amount of weight he would have to carry. But doing what he does with what he has to work with is impressive. I'm surprised he's doing all these lunging poses as tall as he is because he's a legitimate 6'5" like Ferrigno.
Yeah.
I don't recall Ferrigno ever doing any lunging anything.
Is he the current tallest bodybuilder right now?
I believe he is, yes.
Oh yeah. There's nobody even close. I mean, Andrew Jack is probably the next closest, and he's 6'1", 6'2". So
Yeah. Well, Jamie
6'5"
turned pro over in
is
San
unheard
Marino.
of.
Jamie turned pro, I think, in San Marino, Italy. Yes. And
Yeah, he competed in. I actually met him about 4 years ago, I think, when I was first putting some shows on in the UK. That's where I first saw him and met him, and he was an upcoming bodybuilder trying to get his pro card. He failed to get it at our shows, but he did go to Italy eventually and got his pro card. Real nice kid, I tell you, I like him. He's got a great disposition about him, a real good personality. You know what? It's fun. It's fun to see a guy. Listen, the audience always goes crazy for these guys, Isabelle.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen him in sharper conditioning. I love his side chest shots, really good.
Yeah.
And look, for a tall guy, he's well put together. Of course he needs to work on a few things. And I agree with Shawn. He wasn't as sharp. I mean, he looked better at the UK, but this was his first US show. So I mean, I'm sure all that travel didn't help either with the conditioning. And again, what do I know?
Yeah. No.
Well, listen, he's getting his feet wet, right? He's competing. That was the first time actually he's ever competed here in the States.
Right.
So listen, he's a young kid. He's getting out there, and I don't have any issue with that, really. Listen, when you're young and you want to travel and you want to get out there as a pro, and listen, put yourself up to the test and see how you stack up against these guys. And he's got a couple of placings to his credit. So I agree with you, Shawn. Obviously, it's very difficult at that height to get any real muscle when you've got guys 6 inches shorter than you plus. Heavier than you. So,
Yeah. Well, the good
Shawn, you
thing-
made a career out of beating those guys.
Yeah, but the good thing is he's realistic. He understands. He gets it. Like, he's probably never going to look as impressive as a Shawn Clarita or little Tonio. But again, he's doing what he loves, and it's hard to take away someone's passion. So, he's traveling the world. He's meeting all these guys that he saw out when he was coming up in the universe, and we're talking about him here.
And he's a mutant.
And he's a mutant with me.
He's such a great ambassador.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a great ambassador.
Well, you got a few good mutants on the team now, don't you?
The tall and short of it, Bob. Yes, we do. Right. Him and Shawn Clarita, and we got our defending Miss Olympia going for number 3,
That's
Andrea
right.
Shaw, coming up here. So mutants doing some big
I'll tell you
things.
what, yeah, they sure are. So the rest of the rundown, we got a few minutes. In Classic, it was Jeff Hallenbeck.
Who?
Men's Physique, Kyron Holden, who continues to impress. I tell you, this kid is for real. He continuously wins. He's got a great physique on him. He's got to be a threat to the title in the current champ right now, Isabelle.
Yeah, Chiron, I love his look. Man, when he's on that stage, he is on the money. And honestly, look, there is no offense to the current champ, but this is a guy I'd love to see win that title. And he can. He's just well put together. Jesus, his abs. I had to go train abs after the show seeing that guy.
Big interesting call out. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
It's such a big class. I think that was the biggest class out of the Legion, too. One thing I do want to touch up on, going back to Classic, is the look on Jeff's face when he got called first, because I don't think he thought he was going to win, honestly, because Bryant was a little guy. Oh, what was he like? What, 5'4", 5'3"?
Yeah.
Well put together, and I really thought that he was going to take it. But I mean, look, these two are head and head, and great for Jeff. But anyway, just had to throw that in.
It's nice to see that raw emotion on stage. And you're right, he was as surprised as I think he thought when I called second that he was like not in the top 5. Thinking, listen, you're on stage, you're in the moment, you don't know, you're thinking, oh my God, like I just bombed, like what happened? And all of a sudden, he's got the big, take the first place award, the Olympia qualification, and boom, there's his name. And oh my God, he looked like a kid on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
You love to see that, Shawn.
Yeah, no, that's what we like. We love to see that in real time because I think he was just kind of happy to be there, right? And then next thing you know, he hit the lottery. But he deserved it.
Shawn, can Kyron Holden hold his own against Brandon Hendrickson?
That's going to be one I'm really curious to see what that would look like. I mean, I've seen Brandon over the years, man, and he's done the consistency aspect of representing the title and defending the title. I'd like to see him with a fresh challenge, yeah.
So in women's physique, it was Yvonne Pennington, a very nice physique.
Oh, I
and
loved her. She was great.
I tell you, she epitomized what the class is. She was very pretty, very well put together. She wasn't over-conditioned. She wasn't under-conditioned. I think it was literally right in the middle of where that should be for the criteria of women's physique.
And listen, Sarah Bradley, I know that she's wanting to win the show. I get that. She was really good too. Top-notch conditioning. Smaller, really small. But Yvonne, God, when I saw her, I was just blown away. Because that is what physique is, in my opinion. Women's physique.
Well, Danielle Chakelis wins it in fitness. She's a perennial Olympian, and she'll be back again. There was only 5, so it wasn't very deep, but we will see her back on the Olympia stage. And Shawn, I know you take particular interest in bikini and wellness. So Jordan Lee finds herself in the winner's circle. Very, very fitting. There it is. Cheap promo from Shawn.
What does it say?
Show.
It says 2 new classes.
How about that?
We're bringing them to Hawaii, Bob.
And wellness, Amanda Burnett. Now, she's a relative newcomer, but you know who her trainer is, Shawn?
I know.
Her husband? I don't know.
No. Actually, her husband's very much involved in her career, from what I understand. But her trainer is none other than your old buddy, King Kamali.
Tamale is a trainer? Well, she looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
I saw her after prejudging. She was on Facebook, or her husband, making some posts. And I really I didn't realize what I was looking at when I was actually looking. But then I looked when they posted up some pictures. And I just threw it up there. I said, well, if that kind of doesn't work out, I'll see you in Hawaii. And it worked out. She's still talking about coming to Hawaii. But she was right on the money, man. That was spot on.
Yeah.
Good timing.
Yeah, the King knows his stuff, man. I tell you, he's got some impressive athletes, and he put it together. And this girl, he was almost guaranteeing that she was going to win because she's so good.
Yeah.
She just missed it her last show, but she put it together here. So congratulations to all those athletes. And that's going to wrap it up here. Any final thoughts, guys?
Well, we got one last Olympia qualifier here in the States. Again, November the 19th in Honolulu, Hawaii. Go to srhawaiianclassic.com.
And I can't.
So is that that's a qualifier for this year?
That's a qualifier for this year. This weekend, Muscle Contest has one here in Anaheim. Tarek and Tamir El-Gindi are putting on a show where I had my 10-year high school reunion at Anaheim Marriott Hotel. That's a bikini competition. That's a pro qualifier. But we're inching right into Las Vegas, man. It's coming, and there's so many athletes. It's crazy.
And Isabelle, you had some news on. You've come to some conclusions. You got lots and lots of accolades from your third place finish at the Savannah Pro. People coming up to you all over the place. When are you competing again? When are you competing again? Well, It looks like you made a decision as to when you're going to compete again.
Oh, are we openly announcing this now on here, Bob? Seriously?
Yeah. Why not? You got something else to do?
I'm doing wellness at Shawn's show. I am stepping
Wellness.
Shawn's show.
Yes.
Listen, I will support you completely in your quest for wellness. All I'm going to tell you is do not go in if you're going to do it half-ass.
Oh,
See what I
can
did there?
feel it coming in the air tonight.
I will be doing a show in April to win and then go to Olympia and do very well there.
Love the
And
confidence.
then you're coming after Andrea Shaw.
That's right.
Throw down the gauntlet.
That's right.
Welcome. Hey, that was a great comeback, by the way. I mean, that's hard to do when you take some time off.
You know who,
hats off to you.
Talked me into that? That guy right there, Bob.
Big SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah.
Well, you always had it didn't look like you ever stopped, actually. You still look like you put in the work. I look like I stopped. You look like you never took your foot off the gas. So, awesome comeback.
Truer words have never been said. I agree with you 100%, Shawn.
Did I stop? Did you stop? Clearly. We both stopped.
Not me. Listen, I still got the guns, but that's okay. But all right, guys. Well, thanks for coming on and another edition of The Voice of Bodybuilding. We will be back soon, everybody. That's going to wrap it up for this edition.
Thank you. Ciao.
Aloha.
All right.
All right, guys. I got to go eat.